What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another awesome video. Back on our 6-liter series, back on our red dually, just continuing on, guys. And in this video, going to be one that a lot of people have kind of reached out and asked me to do, and I've got a few comments on it, and that is going to be 6-liter Powerstroke engine removal cab on. This is how I did this for years and years and years before I ever opened a shop, before I ever even had anywhere close to the funds to have a lift. So you got to make do with what you got. And what I had when I was 18 years old was a cherry picker in a gravel field. So that's how I used to do it. And if we had one that popped head gaskets, I would do it exactly this way. I'd pull it out, I'd do it on the ground and stab it right back in. It is definitely a lot more of a project to do it this way. But like I just said, you got to make do with what you got. So I'm going to go into pretty decent detail today. This will be more of an informative video, unlike our past couple videos where we're just kind of vlogging. So I'm going to try and cover as much of the very serious things that you need to pay attention to and tackle when we pull this engine out. And we're going to try and go step for step on how to get it out. It's pretty straightforward. It's not a whole lot different than pulling a cab. I think it is a little bit easier this way, especially if you're going to be doing an engine and everything like that. Simple stuff like that. So that's about it. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking because this video is going to be a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and just get cracking straight into it. First thing we're going to do is, before I get started, I guess I'm not done babbling. Real quick, if you guys are just tuning in, you don't know what I'm talking about. This is my new Harley Davidson truck, dark turtle red. I'm in love with this thing. We just brought it back. And basically what we're doing is I've got my dually, my tow pig build that we got going on right now. And it had a bolt dropped into the cylinder that destroyed a piston. So I already have another 6-liter ready to go back in this truck with a cam and some rods and all that good jazz, because we're going to be doing a little bit of power with this truck and don't want to have to worry about it. So basically what we're doing is we're just going to yank this engine out today, and we're just going to come right over and drop it right back into that cradle and get this tow rig up and going. And that's just a quick brief rundown. If you guys want to continue with the series, go back, watch my last video where we got the cab off this thing and got it tore down. And that's what we're doing today. So now we're going to go ahead and get the engine pulled out of the Harley truck to move over to the dually. All right, so first things first, what we're going to start with doing is you're going to go ahead, get both your headlights out, start taking all your grill bolts out, all your Phillips head screws, get both headlights out, pull your grill out, find you a nice clean area to put it. I'm going to put mine in the bed since it's open. And then go ahead and we're going to get the bumper pulled off. If you have cab lights, you're going to have 2 wires that run to each cab light. You're going to need to disconnect. And then these are 18mm bolts on both sides. And then you will have a 13mm bolt right, let me get my flashlight, right there, that you'll have to take out on both sides to get it out. When you come out with the bumper, those brackets will get caught, so just do a little bit of shimmying and you'll get it out of there and find you a nice place to store it. So, all right, guys, pretty straightforward stuff here on your headlights. You're going to have 4 5.5mm bolts, 2 up here and then 2 right here and right here. You may have to drop this bumper down a little bit to get it off, and then you can go ahead and pull all your grill bolts out, pull it back, and then you'll have little clips you have to push down to remove the bottom section. Another thing to do is probably go ahead and take all your bolts and hardware as you take them off, and go get you a box of Ziploc bags and a Sharpie and label them as you pull them apart. So we got headlights pulled out, grill pulled off, and bumper pulled off. I've just kind of got it set off to the side there. And what we're going to do next is go ahead and pull this header panel off. So we're going to start with getting rid of all these 10mm bolts. You got one here, one right there, and just kind of go through and follow through with everything. You're going to have to go ahead and pull your actual plastic holder off here. It's just push pins to get rid of it. and pull all your 10 millimeters out. And like I said, do not forget to go grab yourself some plastic bags, sandwich bags, whatever it is, and label everything as you're pulling it off. That is going to save you a lot of heartache if the truck is down for a little while and you forget where everything goes. I know that a lot of guys like myself, you know, I pull everything apart and I remember everything, where everything goes, and then it sits here for, you know, months to a year, and then you have no recollection of where everything went. So just go do that, save yourself the heartache, and let's get this header panel pulled off and we'll go to the next step. All right, on your header panel real quick, let's go ahead and talk about bolt locations. You got one here, one there on both sides, another one hidden down here that you're gonna have to take loose, and it's the exact same on both sides. So one here, one right there, and then another one right here. And then if you come back here, we're also gonna have to take two loose right here. If you just kind of look, once our panel's out of the way, we have two right here, one there that I've already removed, and another one right there. And then you'll have some push panels that will connect it right there as well. You'll have to get a push pin, panel popper tool, and pop it loose right there, and then kind of fish it out. It is kind of a pain. I'm just going to let you know now. So get all those out, and you're going to have to fish it loose. Don't forget to pull your panel popper, whatever you want to call them, little set screws or whatever. Get them out of the way, and then you're going to have to fish this out of the way, and then we can discharge AC. All right, guys, we got our header panel off, and what we're going to do next is go ahead and get your hood latch out of the way. And what I like to do is, when you pull this, I like to take a paint pen and go ahead and mark right on here on the side and also at the top exactly where it was at. That way it's a lot easier to try and line it back up. Go ahead and pull all your panel poppers off right here that hold the cable on, and what I like to do is just tuck it back and leave it in the battery tray back there and get it out of the way. And then what you're going to need to do next is go ahead and discharge your AC. You're going to have a set of AC gauges. That's all I'm going to say on that. Whether or not you guys just pop it loose and discharge it into the atmosphere is all you guys. I'm not telling you to do that because I don't want the EPA up my ass. So basically what you're going to do is hook up your gauges to your high and low side. One's back here on your actual evaporator, and then one is right here as well on the small line. So what I do is hook it up and discharge it, and then what we're going to need to do next is go ahead and get our condenser pulled out. So one right there, pull it out, and then make sure your rubber grommets stay in the lower brackets there, and go ahead and take both your lines loose and get them out of the way. Next step is, once you have your AC drained and recycled and all that good jazz, and you have your compressor out of the way, you have two 13 millimeter nuts that are going to hold your lines on, and just wiggle them out. Like I said, make sure that you have the AC completely discharged. And when you take these loose, I like to leave the nut a little bit tight and just kind of wiggle it out until the O-ring breaks its seal, and just make 100% sure you have all the Freon drained out of it, because if you don't, that stuff has sprayed me in the eyes before, and it is not a good time. I hate to tell you that, guys, but please, please, please be careful. I don't want any of you guys to get hurt, and getting that stuff in your eyes is not a fun time. It sucks, and I am personally here to tell you. Your biggest line that will do that is this one back up here. Please, please, please be careful. Very slowly take that loose. Like I said, I like to leave my nut tight and then just kind of wiggle it until it breaks the seal. And if you don't hear any air or any Freon leaking out, you're good to go to remove it. But like I said, please be careful. Next step is we're going to go ahead and pop our lines loose on our power steering cooler and our transmission cooler. You'll have actual worm clamps on these, and then these are squeeze clamps to pop these loose and let it drain before you remove it. This cooler is going to hold a lot of fluid, and so is this one. So when you take it loose, make sure you tilt the lines straight up towards the sky. That way you don't make a mess on the ground, and store it or put caps on it where it's not going to make a mess and drain. That's pretty much it. If you guys have this was a later model 06 thing where they were mounted pretty up high, or early, I may be confused on that. But a lot of trucks either have it up here. This is your power steering cooler. It'll either be mounted up on the actual engine cross member, or it'll be mounted down here with the cooler and be mounted this direction. Either way, it needs to be out of the way. So that's our next step, is to get both these coolers out of the way. And then I'm going to show you how to pop your actual cross member, body cross member out here. Once you have your coolers out of the way, we have both of them out of the way, I went ahead and just tossed my transmission cooler, because we're going to put a Mishimoto unit in this. So I just went ahead and cut my lines. Kind of a pain in the butt to get them loose. Our next step is go ahead and we're going to buzz our radiator support bolts out. And then you also have these 10 millimeter bolts right here to hold the intercooler in. Go ahead and pull those out on both sides, right there and right here. And then I will go ahead and show you how to get this out with a pry bar. And don't forget your 13 millimeters. You have 2 on this side, and then you have 2 right here and right here. Same thing on this side, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there, and 1 there. Was that 8 bolts in total? Yeah, 8 bolts in total. Get them out, and I'll show you guys how to pop that cross member out. So I've got a adjustable pry bar here. You can do it without a adjustable pry bar. You can do it with a normal one. But what I like to do is, if you look down in this crevice right here, what I do is I'll take my pry bar, I'll stick it down in there, and you want to wedge it up against the actual headlight bezel here. And what we're going to do is just pry backwards and up, just like that. And then you can get it out. You can usually pop it out with your hand here, or adjust your pry bar the rest of the way and pull it all the way out. And then we'll just pull it out and come this way with it, and it'll be out of your way. Another little helpful tip that save you a little bit of time, and then you don't have to use as many sandwich baggies up, is what I like to do is you can come down here, and like we're just going to use this our cross member here as an example. Just take your bolts you pulled out, and I like to just go ahead and put them right back where they were at. Screw them in a couple threads, and then you can't misplace them, and you remember where they go. If this is like your first time doing that. So that'll save you some baggies, save you a little bit of time. Just put them back where they go and set it off to the side. But let's continue, and we're going to go ahead, and I've got coolant drained, and this is going to be messy, just letting you guys know. And what we're going to do next is go ahead and start working our way on the top engine. I'll probably go ahead and pull a Degas bottle, intake out, intercooler pipes, and then once we get done with that, we can get the intercooler out of the way. Okay, we got our intercooler out, our pipes are out of the way, and we're going to jump on getting the radiator out now. So what you're going to do is just take all your clamps loose up here, get both of these hoses off, and then we're going to go up underneath. You'll have to take your lower rad hose loose. Be very, very careful. What I like to do on that is take your clamp loose and just slowly start working it loose. And once you start getting fluid coming out of it, just let it have a steady stream into a bucket. Because if you just pop it right off, there's about a little over a gallon that's going to come out and you're going to take a bath, and it's not a good time. So do that, and then you will also need a quick disconnect tool. This one right here, which is an AST 8023 half-inch transmission quick line disconnect tool, and that will pull your trans lines loose out of the bottom there. Do not take the 1-inch nuts loose, because you will have the cooler fall off into the radiator. The radiator is pulled out and everything. Just like I said, you're going to make a mess. Then you're going to go ahead and move to your fan clutch. You'll have 4 bolts to hide behind there. They're 15 millimeters. One there, one directly below it, right there, one right there, and then another one right there. And then you can pull your shroud forward and get your fan clutch tool to bust your fan loose back there. It's going to save you a lot of time and hassle to just go get an air hammer and the attachment to knock that loose than using a long adjustable wrench. It's going to save you a lot of time and heartache, because a lot of times these are very, very tight. Also, go ahead and check your wiring. Like this one has already got a rubbed wire, so check that, because you don't want to put a bad fan clutch back on that truck. So quick little tip here is, if you have a fan clutch that's real tight and it just wants to spin the water pump, what I like to do is grab a long 10 millimeter and just grab a hold of one of those bolts, and you can hold the water pump while you bust it loose. Just be careful and watch your fingers. Next step we're going to tackle is, we've got our fan out of here and everything, and I'm going to go ahead and just start working my way. So we're going to pull Thickum brackets, need to come off because they're going to get in the way. And then I'm going to try and keep as much on the engine as I possibly can and just go straight over into the dually here. But so I'm going to leave compressor on and everything. What I'm going to do is, I'm also keeping this battery harness to go on that truck. So I'm going to take everything loose here and tuck it over and let it stay and come with the starter and everything. And then what I'm going to do from here is just work my way, take off what you need to take off as you need to. But I think what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go ahead and get my turbo pulled and all of our hoses that are attached to the engine. So your heater control valve line that comes up to the side of the intake manifold, your map sensor hose, take your transmission dipstick out, get it out of the way. You need to pull this AC line and tuck it over, as well as this one. It can stay with the compressor. And then also over here, if you want to keep this, your lower overflow hose on the engine, take your heater hose off right here on this side, and I like to just tuck it up just like we do when we pull a cab. Tuck it up right there and get it out of the way. And then unfortunately, up pipes are going to have to come out, or they will unfortunately hit the top of the cab, and you won't be able to get the engine out and won't be able to get it up high enough. So that's our next step, is to go ahead, pull turbo, and then get up pipes out of here, and then see if I can go ahead and snake the engine out. Your motor mount bolts underneath, you're going to have 4 on each side. They're going to be 21 millimeters. Go ahead and pull them loose, and then you'll have an inspection cover underneath on the bell housing, and your torque converter nuts are going to be 9/16. If you feel like they're going to strip, make sure that you get a very tight socket on them, because if you strip them, it's going to be a really bad day, and they're very easy to strip. So heads up on that. And then that's pretty much it. Go ahead and support your transmission, so when you pull the engine out, it's just going to hit the ground. That's really about the gist of it, guys. Not a whole lot else got to come loose. You're going to need to take your fuel line connections loose right here. They're quick disconnects. Go ahead and pop them loose. And that's really about it, guys. I'll walk you through as we go and see if we have anything else come up that's really important, but that's where we're going to go from here. Get turbo out and get up pipes out. Just continuing on here, showing you as I come apart with everything. Like I said, I'm going to leave my battery harness because it needs to go on the dually. But you're going to need to take this 15 millimeter bolt loose and pull that off, and pull this ground cable off and get it out of the way. It stays with the frame. And then I'm also going to leave power steering pump on. So to keep that with the engine, you're going to have to pull your lower hose off here. It's going to make a big mess, so get that out of the way. and then you'll have to pull your passenger side hydro boost line and tuck it over with the engine as well. That's just to keep the power steering pump with the engine. When you pull it, you can easily just pull the 10 millimeter bolts out and leave it with the frame if you choose to do so. And go ahead and pull, like I said, I'm going to leave harness and everything with this engine. So pull your glow plug wire off your passenger side battery, tuck it over, as well as your middle PCM plug, and that is your engine harness. Tuck it over and leave it with the engine as well. I got my fuel lines disconnected, and there's also, when you pull this out and you're down here, your transmission lines are bolted to the side of the upper oil pan, and you'll have a 10 millimeter bolt to buzz loose and get a pry bar back there and pop it off the stud. And then from there, you can go ahead and get the turbo out of the way and up pipes. That's what I'm going to start on now. I just wanted to kind of stop and show you that extra little stuff. AC compressor staying, so this is staying with the engine as well as this line. And I think that's really about it as of right now. So now I'm going to get the power steering lines broke loose, tucked over on the engine, and then I'm going to pull this turbo out and see if I can leave all this stuff attached and still get the cherry picker hooked up. So quick little helpful tip on your up pipe clamp and your down pipe clamp. They're going to be seized pretty bad, and best thing, I think that one may have popped loose already. Yeah, it did. Okay, so that one's good, but this one, our up pipe one, is tight. So what we're gonna do is, sorry, I'm shaking the hell out of you. Come up here and get yourself an air hammer with a long chisel bit, and you ain't got to do nothing spectacular. Just stick your pry bar down in there and do that. And you don't need to give it a lot. So on your turbo here, if your turbo still has the very far back bolt back by the downpipe here, a quick little helpful tip is get yourself a wobble extension or a wobble 10 millimeter socket. This is a different turbo, so it has a different size. But what we're gonna do is basically just fish this over top, and you're gonna come down on top of it, and that'll give you the room up above the downpipe to get on it and break it loose this direction. Instead of trying to use a wrench or anything, just save yourself a lot of heartache and everything. Just fish it over the top, right down back behind the turbine housing there, and it'll give you enough room to get swing on this ratchet. You'll have to mess with your extension sizes and stuff to get just the right amount where it's just above the downpipe section there. So just a little help, and also make sure that you get or if you can't grab an FDX socket from Snap-on, at least go buy a brand new 10 millimeter, because that back bolt loves to get seized up and will round off, and then you're going to be having to chisel it off with an air hammer to get the turbo out. So just trying to help you guys save some time here. This is what I'm stressing on our engine mount here to pick the engine out. This is going to save you a whole lot of headache trying to go from back of the head to the back and make a chain and try and get it up. This will allow you to hook it straight to the middle. Makes your life a whole lot easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this off the engine out of the dually and go ahead and get it slapped onto the Harley truck engine and get ready to get it pulled. We have got the charger, it's out, and we are ready to move on from this point. I've got my lifting bracket bolted to where the pedestal goes and all that good jazz. And our next step is pretty much the most difficult side of this job, is gonna be everything up underneath the truck. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to get up under here and we're going to get our up pipe bolts buzz loose. I'm just going to give you a heads up. It sucks. It's not a good time. You're going to get mad, and the best thing to do is take breaks. And if you're stuck on it and fighting it, just take a break, move on, do something else, and try and get something else done, and then come back to it when you're cooled off. So you're going to have a 10 millimeter bolt and a 13 millimeter nut on your up pipes. And if you can put heat on them, great, because they are very, very bad about seizing up. And a lot of times you'll have to break them to get them out. So that's just a heads up on that. And your down pipe there, if you cannot get the down pipe to come out and separate from the rest of exhaust, that's fine. You can leave it in. It's just going to come up with the engine, and then at some point we're going to have to try and kick it off the back of the engine when we pull it forward, and then it's just going to be a little bit of a pain. If you can plan to do an exhaust at the exact same time that you do this, and just go ahead and cut all the old stuff out, that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. But when we get done getting up pipes out and all that good stuff, we're going to move on to probably getting the motor mount nuts loose, and those are going to be up in this cross member section right here, kind of where you see that hole, up here in this nook and cranny here. I can't really get under here and show you, see if I can. So they're going to be right here, basically right behind the coil spring tower there. You'll have to reach up there and get up on them. There's going to be 4 on each side. They are 21 millimeters. Be very careful when you're breaking them loose. Don't let it slip, because I've had it slip off before and peel the tops of my knuckles off on the actual cross member there, because it's very sharp. So heads up on that. When we get all 8 of those out, then we're going to go ahead and get up under there and pull the inspection cover out of the transmission. Get under here. It's going to be, if you look right here, right where the oil pan is at, if you stick your hand up between the rear cover there and the transmission, you will feel a plastic grommet. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Right there, you can kind of briefly see it. Yeah, right there, that plastic grommet. You're gonna pull that out, and you'll have to rotate the engine over and stick your fingers up in there. Just be very, very careful. Usually it takes 2 people, and you will feel as the flywheel comes around. Don't stick your fingers all the way in there. Just kind of see if you can stick them flat in there and let the person spinning the engine over go real slow, and you'll feel the stud come around and hit the tip of your finger, and then get enough room where you can get a ratchet and a mid 9/16 socket in there. So when I say a mid, what I'm talking about is one of these. This is a mid socket, not exactly a stubby and not a deep, and that'll give you enough swing to get in there because it's tight, and break them loose. Like I said, they are tight and they love to round off. So make sure you have a very new socket, an FDX socket, whatever it is, because if you round that off and you can't get it out, you're going to be trying to pull the torque converter out with the engine, and a lot of times that's going to damage the pump. So just be very careful on that side of stuff. Just take your time with it, like I just said. And there's going to be 6 of them, 6 torque converter studs with nuts right here. You'll have 6 of them bad boys. Once you have all 6 of those out, you can go ahead and start breaking all your bell housing bolts loose, and those are going to be 13 millimeters. And you'll have to kind of fish your hand up around the top of the bell housing, and you'll have to get a stubby ratchet and a 13 millimeter to swing on the top 2 bell housing bolts. It is also a pain, but like I said, we're not doing this for ease of the job. It's more of a, if this is how you got to do it, this is how you got to do it. It's just part of life. So we're going to do that, and if I run into anything that I remember along the way, I'll stop and touch on it, but that's where I'm going to get started after now. Like I said, we have everything that I'm going to leave on the engine with the engine. Obviously, the more stuff you can take off while it's in the engine, in the actual truck, the easier it'll be. Like if you can take this off, take your oil filter off and everything like that, it'll give you a lot more room for the cherry picker. I'm not doing that because I want to just pick this thing up and just literally come right over and drop it right into the dually. So literally leaving everything on: AC, power steering, the whole 9 yards. But another thing real quick is when you're pulling your turbo out, this plastic piece right here is very brittle, and I like to bungee cord it up. You're going to need to pop all your little push panels off, your little push clips, these guys, and you'll have 2 here, 1 over here, and then this section of wiring goes up underneath the Degas bottle mount bracket. So you'll have 1 push pin that's attached and 1 right there. You'll have to reach down and pop it out, and that'll give you enough room to fish this out up above this and then bungee it out of the way and give you more room to get the turbo out. You do not have to pull the alternator or any of this stuff to get the turbo out. It just takes a little bit of keeping your cool to kind of snake it out of there. You kind of twist it and then tilt it up and it'll come right out. So just a heads up on that. But that's pretty much the gist of what we're going to do at the front of the truck for right now. So now, like I said, let's go ahead and get up underneath it and start getting all the hard stuff out. All right, another quick little tip is that if you have a lowered truck like mine or even factory height, go ahead and get you 2 jacks and go ahead and just pick the front of the truck up. It's going to save you a lot of headache trying to get in and out from under there. It's going to give you a lot more room. And now that I can easily get under here with my big butt, I'm going to show you guys everything that I need to take loose. So right there's our up pipe bolts. You can see how nice and crusty they are right there. So we're gonna have to take those out. You're gonna have 4 between both sides. So 2 on each side. They're directly across from each other. That, and then right here, right there is your motor mount bolts. As you can see, this is the top of the differential, and they're directly up in this cradle here, and the others are tucked up in there pretty far. So right there they are. So all 4 of them right there. Same thing on the other side. And then right here is your grommet right there. You're gonna pop that bad boy out with a screwdriver. And like I said, what I like to do is I'll just basically stick my fingers up in here and just gradually let the person rotating the engine come around and rotate it, and I'll feel the stud come around and grab the tip of my finger there. Do not stick your finger in there because you're going to lose the tip of your finger if they're rotating the engine too fast. So just a heads up there. And then all your bell housing bolts. This has fought me before. You need to make sure you get them all out. There's 2 at the very, very top. 1 where that step is right there. There's 1 in that little cubby hole. 1 there, 2 at the bottom. And then as well as 2 on this side. And you should be pretty much good at that point to get it pulled. Obviously I'll stop and talk to you at that point, but we're going to, once we have that all loose, I'm going to take a ratchet strap, if you don't have an extra trans jack laying around, and strap up this trans so that it can't just flop and hit the ground. It really won't because the transmission mount, but less stress on that thing. So just wanted to stop real quick and give you a better view at everything underneath the truck. Just a quick another tip, we're going to have 9 bell housing bolts. So if you are out fighting this thing and it ain't going to come out and you keep pulling and pulling and pulling and it's fighting you, you better make sure you have 9 bell housing bolts in your hand and 6 torque converter nuts. So just a quick little tip there. I'm crawling up underneath this thing. All right, another quick helpful tip. This is the best setup that I have found for pulling up pipe bolts. Right there. This little 14-4 or 18 or wherever the hell this snap-on gun is. This particular gun, a swivel 13 millimeter and a 10 millimeter stubby wrench is the best setup I found for pulling these bad Larrys out. They suck, and what you can do is just, if they've got these installed the other direction, so if they've got the 10s going up, you can just literally just change between wrench size and socket size. So just a quick help on that. You can definitely do it without these tools. This is just the best thing that I have found to do it. It gives you enough jarring impact to buzz them loose and keep it going. So, and the stubby is definitely a necessity for how tight it is up against the firewall. So I like to just basically fish my 10 millimeter up there, and basically when they're up here like this, you can't really get on it. So I'll just basically fish my 10 millimeter up as good as I can with my 2 fingers. And once you get the boxed end or open end, whatever you want to call it, on the actual nut there, you can just hold the tip of the wrench with your finger and balance it, and then you can buzz it loose. Like I said, it's a pain. It just takes a lot of lot of tedious time getting your socket size right and getting your fingers and everything where you want them. So just wanted to help you out one more time there. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, one last thing I forgot to mention before we come out with this thing. Right here up by your all your AC stuff and everything, there's a little 8mm bolt with a ground strap on it. You'll need to take it out and just pull it over and lay it on top of the engine here to come with it. Or you can take it loose back there. It's just a lot easier over there. That comes with the engine. Don't forget that, because you'll get stuck on that. But all our bell housing bolts are out, torque converter nuts are out, and I'm gonna roll a cherry picker over here and start getting this thing yanked. One last tip before we come out here. I want to show you where our transmission line thing is that I was telling you about. If you look right there, you see that stud that's on the side of the upper oil pan there that's connected to those trans lines. You're gonna have a 10mm nut that is attached to that stud, and you're gonna have to take it off and then pry that bracket off that stud. It is kind of a pain because it's very tight. Best thing I found to do that is a long ratcheting swivel head 10mm wrench. Let me get up and I'll show you real quick. It will save you on a lot of other things too. It's probably one of the more handy tools I have, if I can find it. Right there. Yep. This guy right here. Yep. Nice long Matco swivel head ratcheting wrench there. That will help you out tremendously on getting that off, and then just take a pry bar and pop it off. And that is pretty much everything from front to back underneath that has to come off, and we are ready to come out, guys. I've got the cherry picker hooked up and everything. Only reason that there is a chain hooked up right there is because I do not want to take any of this stuff off the top of the engine off, so I need that extra little bit of room. Normally on our brackets in the valley there, you can drop that cherry picker all the way down and hook it up right down low and pick it right out and out. But like I said, I'm being lazy. Don't want to pull all that stuff off when I'm just going to go right over and drop it in that truck. So I'm going to go ahead and get that pried off and get this engine out. All right, guys, it's out. As you can kind of tell from that time lapse, I struggled a little bit with a few things that I did forget. So I want to go ahead and tell you guys about that now. First thing being first is if you're going to do it this direction and leave all this stuff attached, make sure you go ahead and pull that valve cover stud out, because if you do not, it will catch on the Digas bottle bracket right there. You can see where it's bent up where I was jacking and didn't catch it. Getting rid of that anyway, so it doesn't really matter on my case, but still want to tell you guys about it so you don't run into it. That being one. Another thing is, if you can, it will make your life a lot easier if you can hook a ratchet strap to the belt, or the bell housing, to the harmonic balancer there, and ratchet strap it up to the boom on the cherry picker. So you want the engine to, for the nose of the engine to come up, and that's because when we do it like this, and with this bracket as well as this, if you do not pull this off and the engine wants to tilt down, this digs into the top of the firewall. So either that, or you can pull that off, just however you want to go about it. But obviously it's just going to take some finagling, you know, kind of going with the flow as you're pulling it. Just stop and periodically check. Obviously this is going to be a lot easier if you have a second set of eyes on stuff. I don't have that, so just kind of going with the flow here. But it's out. Here it is, guys, completely ready to just come right on over, and we're just going to go ahead and drop it right into the dually here. But I believe that is where I will wrap this video up. There's really not much more to cover. Like I said, make sure you throw your ratchet strap or a transmission jack up under your transmission there. And that's really it. Now you have a great opportunity to clean up everything while the engine is out, make your life a lot easier, and, you know, do what you will with your project. You know, I like to roll them out, pressure wash the frame and everything, and clean it up all real nice and pretty like. But that's all you. That's your trucks, guys. I'm just showing you what to do. But like I said, that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Obviously, we will continue this series. I'll probably jump off here as soon as I finish this video and get right back to working on the dually. So that's going to wrap, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much for watching my videos, guys. I can't tell you how much it means. I really do appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys are just now tuning in and watching our channel and you like our stuff, please go back, check all our other videos out. I would really appreciate it. And if you like what you see, consider giving us a sub, like our videos. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you on the next part of this series, which will be continuing on our dually. Love you guys. Bye.